Hello everyone, and welcome back once again to the TowerDiveTV Weekly Tournament number 32. I'm Azraki, and casting with me here today is Fancy Zergling. So getting into this match, this is the third match of the day, and we're actually going to be seeing our own TowerDive team take on Syncopation, sorry. So, this is going to be a pretty interesting game. The TowerDive TV team, unfortunately, at the moment has three of their subs, and you can see that those three are the ones with Saga in their name, haven't quite gotten the name change yet. Whereas Maestro and Dooley, they are our actual starting rosters, so this is going to be fairly interesting. Let's see how well they can do. So it looks like Twisted Fate and Ari are the first couple bans for the TowerDive TV team. I think Ari is probably going to be a directed ban against Syncopation, and Draven, likewise, a targeted ban for the TowerDive TV team. Unfortunately, I haven't really seen too much from our own team. I haven't really seen them play too much, but I think we might have a Draven player on the blue team or on TowerDive TV. So, not sure. It's still a fairly strong ban otherwise, and Twisted Fate, obviously, we've already talked about how strong of a ban he is, and once again, Thresh. There we go, purple team, banning out Thresh. And last game we saw Thresh make a lot of action happen, so definitely want to keep that off the board, and more global pressure banned from TowerDive TV team Shen. Really, really something you don't want to deal with, as we've already mentioned before.
Yeah, with the Draven ban, that's definitely a aimed ban at Dooley there. I mean, just last night I was watching him, and he was just destroying people at all stages of the game with him. I mean, it wasn't even a contest.
So definitely a targeted ban from Draven. The other two bans, Thresh and Hecarim, really, really standard. Like, we see them banned almost every game. Either banned or played every game, I have to say. Especially, the purple team, Syncopation, they don't actually have first pick, so banning Thresh is a great idea. Just want to make sure that the enemy team doesn't get Thresh. And if they were first pick, they might be able to say, alright, let's hold out, let's get Thresh. We can first pick him, but it looks like they're not going to be able to do that. So the blue team, TowerDive TV team, they're going to be picking up Jace first. And Jace is a fairly strong champion. As we've seen last game, he wasn't able to take the game back into his favor, but he was still doing a lot of damage once he got his Brutalizer, as well as a couple of other items. So he's a very strong champion in this game. And there we go, Sup Vig is playing Viger. Not really too much of a surprise at that point. Viger's not really, in this meta all that much. He's not a champion that we see played very, very often, but, his name is Sup Vig M. So I can only assume that he's had a lot of practice with Viger, and he can play him very, very well.
Viger does bring a lot of CCM versus the table. I mean, just that circle stun, or I believe it's called Event Horizon, brings so much, not only crowd control, but just area denial. I mean, once that goes up, you just have to back off, and really, unless you want to get stunned and then subsequently shot down, there's really nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, at the same time, Viger isn't really played all that often anymore because he doesn't really bring much else to the table. He has the big stun, and he also has a good amount of burst with his ultimate. That burst only really works against AP champions, and we also see the fact that he doesn't have much to follow up with that afterwards either. He has two damaging abilities outside of his ultimate, one of them which is a very conditional skill shot, which is pretty hard to land. It's very easy to sidestep that. It takes a while for it to actually land after you press the button. And the other one is just your standard sort of targeted AP ability. So he doesn't really have much damage past his burst, and that's why people don't play him anymore. Even though he's got a great stun, he's not really in the meta. He's not a popular choice because he doesn't do anything after his stun and after his ultimate. His stun takes a fairly long time to get off the cooldown. I think in the early levels it's about 20 seconds or so. It's a very long cooldown, and even endgame it's upwards of 10 seconds on the cooldown of his stun. So he's really not able to do much for his team. However, how he can work well with his own team, we'll have to see what the rest of his team decides to pick up in terms of their team comp. We have Nautilus as well as Varus and Jace, so they do have quite a bit of damage on their team. Nautilus is really their tank right now, and it looks like we might be seeing a Singed picked as well, and that would give their team, it would round their team out, give them a lot more tankiness. So they do have a lot of CC as well as a lot of tankiness, and I think, we might be seeing Jarvan Viger do quite a bit of work in this game, because we do see, the blue team, they're hovering around a Lux, and Lux is an odd champion uh, to pick against Viger, and Viger does not have enough range to basically compete with Lux, but in the coming late game, if he can get close to Lux, then he's going to be able to burst him. However, another reason why Viger's not really picked up all that often is because he doesn't have that range. He can't get close to you unless he lands the stun. And even at that point, say we take a late game team fight, he stuns 4 members of the purple team, but Nami's still there, or Nami's not been stunned, or Maokai hasn't been stunned, Lux hasn't been stunned. There's a lot of CC he's really susceptible to kite, and a lot of the squishies that he's able to burst down with his ultimate will stay in the back lines, so he's not going to be able to use his burst nearly as well as he should be.
Yeah, I mean, but really what we see here is we have Singe's fling, we have the ability, Jace's ability to speed you up, and we have all the CC that Nihilus brings to play. So maybe what they're counting on is just being able to keep the opponent's team in place for him to get that stun off and for him to be able to melt one team down and turn it into a 4v5.
Yeah, and that's what one thing I was talking about earlier is seeing how the Viger pick works with the rest of his team comp, and that's really going to be how they plan to play Viger, because you can't really play Viger into many teams. You really, really have to make sure your team comp fits around him. And this one, I have to say they're doing a fairly good job of that, and they have quite a bit of damage to follow up afterwards as well. And even if, say, they build armor and just burst down Viger, or he gets off his ultimate in the early game, and the rest of the team just builds armor, well, that's all right because, Jace is going to be taking down a lot of your armor. We know that Brutalizer is a very, very nice item on Jace, so he's going to be able to build that into a Black Cleaver near the late game and basically lower everyone's armor so that Varus can do more damage. And on top of that, Varus also does some magic damage of himself. So Blue Team has a really well-rounded team comp, and I really
Mm-hmm.
like what they're bringing to the table. Now, if we look over to the Purple Team, they've got a bit of a different style. They don't have a straight up, let's go ahead, run in and team fight, put down a lot of CC or anything like that. They have more towards the high mobility side where we have Ezreal who's able to kite around. Nami's really going to be able to help Ezreal kite around. We also have Lux who's basically going to sit around near the back of the fight. She's going to be CCing people. She's going to put out a lot of damage. And Maokai is also going to help a little bit. So I think most of the purple team is built a little bit around Ezreal, making sure that he does a lot of damage, making sure that he can kite around. And at the same time, we also have Renekton, who is, a little bit of an odd choice with the rest of their team comp. It does bring a more well-roundedness to their team comp. He's got a lot of mobility himself as well as a stun, but he doesn't really do something that helps Ezreal, and he doesn't really have too much damage on his own. So he's really going to be looking to get into the back line of the blue team and disrupt as much as possible. So the purple team has a very well-rounded team comp. They have people from all walks of life. They're going to play that out, but they don't have that coordinated AoE team fight that we're seeing in the meta right now. And to be honest, neither does blue team.
One of the black sheeps I really do see on purple team is the Maokai pick. I mean, we don't see him too often, and his ultimate we were talking about earlier is really good. But really, with the team that we're seeing now, his ultimate probably isn't going to be the best because they're not focused on these big, hey, let's pop all of our ultimates at once and do all this damage in one area. They're focused on, hey, let's try to lock them down for a bit, get the 4v5, and then just take down people as we can. I mean, especially with picks like Singed, I mean, the fight's going to be all over the place. It's not going to be in that one area where Maokai wants to keep it, and they have no one like a Mumu who can keep it in that one area.
So as we get off of this delay, we're going to go right into the game. One real quick thing I'm noticing is the fact that Lux has taken teleport, so she's not really going to be able to bully out Viger as well as she could be if she took something like Ignite. But at the same time, she's going to be able to make action happen all around the map, which is really, really important when playing Lux, because she's a champion that benefits really well from roaming around. She has her snare, which is great for making ganks happen. She can make sure that the rest of her team follows up really easily on those ganks and pulls them off, and she also has quite a bit of range, so she can also stick back near, say drag, uh, teleport in not quite behind the enemy lines or as close to the enemy lines as possible, but utilize that range to make sure that she doesn't get into harm's way herself when she goes around to gank with the teleport. And not only that, but she can also, it's just another way she can gank. Lux already really likes to roam around as it as it stands to begin with. So it's really going to help her out in the future. While uh, Viger, he ended up taking exhaust, which is something that, if he gets close to Lux, is really going to help him out to negate a lot of the burst damage that Lux does. And it's also going to help him if he manages to get focused by, say, Renekton or something, because he's going to be able to negate a lot of that damage on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, really, I do enjoy the teleport pick. I feel it's one of the stronger summoner spells. I really want to see more, especially from top laners, and it could even be useful on mid laners getting to where they need to be on, like, right away. It really provides a lot of dragon control and dragon threat when you do have someone who has that teleport and could just get down there instantaneously. And especially with Lux, as you were saying, she would just get down in there and Death Star anybody who's too low to get away from her.
And it looks like, we do actually have a Viger support, which is, very odd choice in this opinion, but I just noticed that we have Jace who can go mid and Singed who's going top, and we have a lot of so this is going to be a very weird matchup. So the bot lane is going to basically turn into a kill lane for the blue team for the TowerDiveTV lane, and they have Varus, so it's going to work out pretty well for them. They can really. There goes the very quick event horizon, which is Christmas trees now, so he has that skin. Very, very nice skin. I like it personally. We're gonna have to see how the blue team actually ends up going up with Viger support. It's really, really weird pick. As I said, he does have the stun, which is very substantial, but past that, he won't be able to farm his ability power. He won't be able to kill things with his Q because all of the CS will be going to the AD carry. So we'll have to see how he can make that work. It can be a very interesting play.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how they're going to do it. That Event Horizon is, like you said, very strong, but really that's the only thing he does bring to the table as a support. He can do a lot of damage, but really, once all of his cooldowns are gone, he's not really going to be doing much to protect Varus here. I kind of feel like Varus is going to be the one doing the protecting.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how this game drags on, but it looks like both teams, they're a little bit defensive. I think there's a possibility for the TTTV team to pull in an invade at this point, but they look to be just sort of staying near their own red buff and making sure that's safe, while the red team, they're making sure their own buff is safe. Now, Maokai is someone who, you can pretty easily screw up his jungling if you end up invading him. So I do like the fact that the red team, they're basically helping him out a bit, making sure that he clears as fast as he can, because the saplings really help him with his clear time. And right now we're seeing he's going to be leashing both wolves as well as uh, golems, the blue golem, with his saplings. And there we go. He's going to be able to very quickly kill the wolves with the help of Lux and Ezreal and move right on to the blue buff right afterwards.
Yeah, that's really going to be quite standard. Though it really would have been beneficial to blue, I feel, to come in here and try to mess around with Maokai's jungle, because he is extremely blue dependent, and he's really weak in these early stages of his jungle. So I'd really like to see Nocturne. It would have been awesome to see someone who could kind of bully him around, though I do love the Nocturne pick in general.
The Nautilus pick.
Or not, Nautilus pick.
It's a pretty good pick. He's going for the red buff first, and actually, there we go. It was invisible for a second. I was wondering why I didn't see the buff, and I didn't see anyone having the buff. But yeah, he takes his red buff. So I think he's going to be looking around to gank a little bit more in the early game. He might go straight to blue right afterwards as well, which is also going to be good for him. But ganking pretty early is going to help his team out quite a bit, just to make sure his lanes get snowballed. You want to shut down Renekton, and you want to make sure that Singed has the ability to free farm top. That's something that his champion is really good at. If Singed gets a lot of the farm, come late game, he's going to be extremely tanky. He's going to run through your team, flip a bunch of people, and just be an overall pain in team fights. So Maokai already is looking to gank mid lane.
And once Singed does get an inch ahead, he just takes a mile. It's really hard just to catch back up with him, especially once he gets to that point where he'll just go behind your tower and farm, because he can do it. I mean, it's absolutely insane what Singed can do if the player knows what he's doing.
And it looks like Jace might be overextending a little bit. Here comes the Maokai gank. Lux just trying her best to follow up on this, but he's running the right direction, going right down into the bottom river, and there's absolutely nothing that the red team can do in this gank.
Yeah, there was just, I don't know if Lux's ability was down or there's too many minions between them to get that snare off, but it was a good play on Jace to get out of there as quick as he did.
Something odd I'm seeing that Ezreal's doing, especially against a lane like Varus and Viger, he's really spamming a lot of his abilities. He's doesn't have any mana left for a quick arcane shift if he needs it, which is something that's really going to end up hurting him, because if you can't arcane shift out of Viger's stun, of Viger's event horizon, then you're really going to be in a tough spot, especially when you're up against a Varus who's going to get a lot of free auto attacks on you to proc those, to stack those Blighted Quiver procs, as well as ignite them if you end up being stunned, or even just hail of arrows in the middle, and you probably end up popping those Blighted Quiver stacks. So looks like Maokai is in the bottom lane, just trying to relieve some of the pressure off of this bottom lane for the red team.
Yeah, well, we've been seeing Viger put out a lot of event horizons there and forcing him to arcane shift out, so that's where we see most of his mana going. I mean, as we were saying, if he does get caught in that, there's nothing to stop Varus there from just putting down his rate of arrows, getting a skill shot off, and then a couple auto attacks, and it's just gonna be too much for him, and he's gonna force him back, if not kill him.
Looks like in the top lane, Maestro is going to try his best to make a gank happen, but Singed was not close enough to follow up with that, and just trying to put out a little bit of damage onto Renekton before he goes back and delay that just a little bit. So in the top lane, we see the fact that Singed has already gone back to get a cloth armor, sapphire crystal, and he's got a Doran shield on top of that as well. So he's going to be fairly strong against Renekton. I like the Doran shield as well as cloth armor to basically negate a lot of the damage that Renekton will be able to do, as well as the sapphire crystal to basically keep his mana up so that he can just keep poisoning everything, basically.
Yeah, that's something that I really like from that play, like you said, is that just the ability to negate that. And that's not a lot of something we see players do in other forms of gameplay, like solo queue or lower level team play, is allowing your build to be flexible enough to get those items to negate who you're laning against. All too often, people like to stick to their guides, stick to something that's worked for them before, and not really account for, hey, this guy does a lot of this or that.
And it looks like Maokai is going to flash Twisted Advance in the top lane for a gank. Saga Kiss is going to have to pop Ghost to get out of here. So they do end up popping a Summoner spell, which is great on the part of the red team, and it looks like Nautilus, he's going to try to make something happen. I'm not sure if he's going to really be able to do much, but he is certainly going to try. Singed is already back up here. He's going to be pretending to farm the lane. Well, he's actually farming it, but might be a little bit of a front. So we see that Maokai has already gone back. It's just Renekton alone under this tower. He's not level 6 yet, can't bait that out. Maestro's just going to end up stealing the enemy golems.
Yeah, if we go back to bottom lane, we see that this Viger support lane is actually doing pretty well. They're consistently keeping Ezreal at half health and forcing Nami's.
And there goes the event horizon. Huge stun right there, almost taking out Ezreal, and he might be going for a Blighted Quiver or a piercing arrow, but unfortunately that's going to miss, not quite killing Ezreal, but he's forced to basically arcane shift out of there. And it looks like Lux is on her way down as well. They are going to be able to see this with the ward right there. We'll have to see if the event horizon lands, and he's going to land on the enemy bot lane. It looks like Epic Shots is going to be able to basically almost stun Dooley, but he's going to flash right out of it. Great play, sidestepping the ultimate from Lux, and it looks like he's just barely going to pick up the Castro kill, and that's going to be first blood for his team. Bacon following Lux down into the bot lane, unfortunately not going to be able to make any action happen out of that, but it looks like Dooley is going to end up paying for his life as well.
Yeah, it may not be said in the chat, but that was absolutely worth it there. Him getting not only the kill onto Ezreal, but getting the first blood. Usually exchanges like that, I don't really say it's
Looks like Saga is going to actually get caught out taking a few tower shots, and a great play by Renekton to basically flash in and stun him onto the tower.
Yeah, that was a great play there by him, getting that stun off exactly on time, making sure he can follow up, and then getting that kill. That's exactly what he needs to make sure Singe doesn't become that monster any sooner than he has to be, because it's not a matter of if Singe becomes a monster, it's a matter of when he becomes a monster.
Yeah, the sooner you can shut down Singed, the better, and that was a great play, like we said before, by Renekton, and I actually do like the fact that he's going for a Brutalizer, so he's going to get a little bit of damage as well as armor penetration. And, you know, cooldown reduction is always good on an AD caster like Renekton, who is very reliant on his skills as well as his auto attacks. So that's something that I really think is a good item for him to build, and especially against this lane matchup where, you know, he's not really going to want too much health. He's not really going to want to stack resistances or anything, because Singed is not at the point yet where he's doing a lot of damage. He's basically going to get more items that helps his survivability, like Catalyst, So he's already got 200 health as well, building right into a Rod of Ages, but it looks like a stun from Viger going to land. Unfortunately, not getting the extra hit onto, but there goes the corrupted chain landing right onto Ezreal. The piercing arrow not quite taking down the rest of his health, as a very quick heal from Nami able to save the day.
But that did manage to force the flash, and that was quite a great play by both of them. Even though they did use their ultimate, he'll be up far sooner than Ezreal's flash will be.
It will certainly be, and it looks like he's going to continue putting on pressure. Varus is an extremely strong early game champion. He's just putting down a lot of harass, and there goes the ultimate from Viger. One last auto attack is going to be able to pick it up. Dooley picks up his second kill in the bot lane.
And this lane's working exceptionally well. It's not to say
Lux might be getting caught out right here as the ultimate from Nautilus is going out. It looks like Bacon is going to go around to catch him out, but a great Nautilus hook able to catch out epic shots, and it looks like he's going to go down. It looks like Florg tries to do anything he can to save Lux, but unfortunately just a little bit too late, as he's not going to be able to do anything about it. Meanwhile, in the top lane, we got a couple of trades as Singed just kind of runs around with his poison.
There we saw just the power of Nautilus, how he's able just to lock down somebody like that, bring him back into the fight. Knock him up, bring him into the fight, knock him down with an auto attack, and then slow him down with another ability. It's absolutely crazy what he just did there, and almost no other champion in League can do that.
Yeah, Nautilus is known as this huge CC machine. He's got, I believe, 7 forms of CC, or 7 or 6 forms of CC. It's utterly ridiculous, to be honest. And it's very, very nice, especially if he has red buff on top of that, where his auto attacks provide snare as well as a red buff proc to slow them down and do true damage. He's such a strong champion right now, and for an odd reason, he actually fell out of favor quite recently, but now he's going back, getting back, being redeemed, growing in popularity, and now we can see why he's such a strong champion. So it looks like we do have a slight ward battle in the bottom lane, as Viger is going to try to take out these wards. He's going to pop his Event Horizon to try to make that happen. Unfortunately, Senor Castro is going to be able to catch him out, and there goes the Lux ultimate running right into that. But, it's going to be a pretty hard ultimate to dodge, because if he turns around, he's just going to go right back into Senor Castro or Florg. But it looks like Nautilus is going to land a great hook onto Florg. He's going to be caught out a little bit. No mana left. There goes the hail of arrows just to proc that, and the piercing arrow at max range, just barely killing Maokai on top of that.
Yeah, that was excellent by Blue Team there, jumping on that opportunity to get a revenge kill and just come out ahead there. Sacrificing Viger for Maokai was definitely worth it.
Yeah, Viger is in this game the support, so even though he's not able to farm up a lot of his abilities, we know that his stun is still a very good amount of utility on top of that, so we'll have to see what he actually builds going through this game. I expect to see a Sightstone next on his build. He's already got the Philostone for that gold per 10, as well as a little bit of health and mana regen on top of that, so it's a very good item choice on many supports, although a lot of supports like to finish up the Sightstone first and then finish up the Philostone afterwards. Honestly, no preference on my part, but it looks like in the bot lane we see another Event Horizon land, but it looks like Nami will counter-engage with her ultimate. Dooley getting caught out a little bit. Very, very heavy slow from Nami's ultimate, but it looks like Viger is going to be able to turn around, throw a Q, but a teleport in the bot lane from Lux. She's going to be able to pick up the kill after a great snare, and just didn't see that coming in the bot lane. Didn't see through that tower, but it looks like in the top lane, the tower is taken down by Renekton. Unfortunately, he's being chased down by Singed as well as Renekton. He's going to be able to get taken down right there. But in the meantime, the red team will be able to take a dragon off of that team fight. They knew, we just took out their AD carry. We have a lot of great positioning in the bot lane. We'll have to see if we're going to be able to take this dragon. And it's really going to help them out, but oh wow, an amazing shock blast doing so much damage. Bacon doing quite a bit right there, and now Senor Castro getting caught out over the wall. He's probably going to end up arcing shifting over, or he's going to get knocked over, but it looks like Viger is going to end up picking up that kill with a Q, and it looks like he's going to try to chase onto Blueberries, but the red team, they're just backing up. They don't want to finish this fight with Bacon with a last whisper already doing so much damage.
That was quite the engage by Blue Team there. I honestly think they were going to back off, but they managed not only to get not one kill, but 2 kills with that excellent shockwave from Jace there. We see just the great utility there, and then Viger just ulting Ezreal. I mean, no one expects the support to be able to just burst down the AD carry like that. It was absolutely insane.
Yeah, one of the reasons a lot of people do like to run Viger support outside of his stun, obviously, which is his greatest power, but the fact that his ultimate scales on the enemy's AP as well. So even if you don't have a lot of farm, even if you don't have a lot of AP, you can still do a lot of damage to the enemy's AP carry if you use that on them, as well as quite a bit of base damage on top of that. So Viger can be used as a support. Like I said, his build next is going to be a Sightstone, and there it is. So he's not going to suffer for wards at all. And one of the biggest themes we see in this game, differentiating it from the other games we've seen earlier today, is the fact that ward coverage is actually mattering quite a bit. Teams realized how important ward coverage is, and we're already seeing pink ward battles in the bot lane near Drag.
Now, something I do want to draw attention to is Ezreal's build. Usually we see blue Ezreal, but we see this Ezreal went for Vampiric Scepter and 2 Doran's Blades. What's up with that? I mean, I would think that the Shroud of the Elder Lizard would have been excellent, especially for this matchup when he's going to be arcane shifting out of that Event Horizon.
Yeah, he's actually got a distinct lack of mana as well. And as we know, Spirit Stone and every item that builds out of Spirit Stone gives you mana regen on top of that. And, you know, he builds a tier for the Mere Mana. He builds the Frozen Gauntlet, or the Iceborne Gauntlet, which gives him a lot of mana as well. So, you know, he's not going to be able to arcane shift as much as you say. And there goes a very quick Event Horizon, able to kill Nami right then and there. And he's going to continue to try to damage Senor Castro. Unfortunately, no follow-up. Oh, just barely missing the Chain of Corruption, unfortunately, on Varus.
That was an excellent engagement there, and really we see one of the downsides of Nami. She does have a lot of great utility, but she is fairly squishy and will fall quickly to those kill lanes if they can't get her hands on her.
And a great Event Horizon once again. Viger is doing really, really well with those, predicting where the enemy is going to be moving, and it looks like the blue team, they are a little bit farther ahead in this game right now, taking an early lead. Have to see if Syncopation can get back into this game. Looks like we might be gearing up for, you know, a mid-push, because Varus is taking the bottom tower. He's actually going to be trying to 1v1 Senor Castro down in the bottom lane, doing a lot of damage already with Blighted Quiver, and it looks like Nami's here, so he's not really going to be able to follow up on this, but Viger is right across the wall. Might be able to land a great stun, and there it is, once again catching out Nami. She's forced to flash right out of the hail of arrows, and the Blighted Quiver being procced by the arrow, unfortunately not going to be able to take that out. Meanwhile, near the mid lane, it looks like Lux is going to be taken down by Bacon, and Bacon doing so much damage right there. He's, once again, got his Brutalizer on top of the Last Whisperer. Any armor on the red team is just going to be completely shut down.
You know, these are just some great plays being made by blue team here. They're catching people off guard. They're catching people when they least expect it and just putting out tons of damage. Just not killing them. They're forcing flashes. They're forcing other summoners to pop and just forcing them out of the lane so they can just get that advantage. The one thing we do see red team is just dominating top, just pushing it down, and Singed unable to stay in that lane. What are some of the things you think that Singed can do to kind of like push back into this game? Because right now he's kind of behind.
Now at this point, Singed can still stay top a little bit. The rest of his team is winning the game, so they'll be able to take a lot of these team fights. And at this point, he's just content with the fact that Renekton is leaving the top lane. He's going to be able to push down the tower. He's going to be able to take a lot of farm with this poison, and it's really easy to farm with him as a champion. So it looks like Ezreal is going for his Bloodthirster first, which, you know, once again, I would have liked to see the Blessing of the Elder Lizard first. It's such a cost-effective item, gives him health regen as well as mana regen, basically allowing the Arcane Shift even more, as well as, you know, basically giving him more health regen on top of that as well. So that's going to negate a lot of the poke that the rest of the blue team can do, although I would have liked to see, you know, a little bit more in terms of just flat-out health. If you're losing a lane this much against a bursty lane, you want to get a little bit more health. He does have a couple of Doran's Blades, and that's going to help out with that, but, you know, even a Ruby Crystal doesn't really hurt. Even when you're an AD carry and you want to complete your build as fast as possible, when you get to those core items, still beneficial to get some of those early health items just to stay alive, because giving up more kills is certainly not what you want to do. But it looks like they have an initiation, an amazing Event Horizon catching out both Nami and Ezreal forced to flash back under the tower. Viger is going to be taken out right there. And it looks like Dooley is going to be taken down right there by Sync Florg, and it looks like Nautilus, he's going to be able to get out of that engagement right after picking up a kill, but unfortunately they just went a little bit too far, getting caught out in the enemy jungle.
Yeah, that's something we do see is when teams do get these big advantages that they are more cocky and will dive more often. But really, they need to be careful not to give up their lead. I mean, diving beyond a tower like that was completely unnecessary. They could have backed off, saved the gold for themselves, and been back in another lane to push and apply pressure elsewhere. So that's something they really need to watch out for, is taking too much advantage of this team and thinking they're that far ahead when they're not far enough.
Yeah, and the red team, they're really just trying to push as much as they can, as well as keep their towers safe. And I'm not sure what the Tower Dive TV team was doing with that really hard dive back there, going through a tower from the enemy team. They ended up losing that team fight, but it looks like they are going to force a push down the mid lane, something they really want to do at this point, take more objectives, especially that mid lane tower. Looks like a teleport from Lux is going to be used to get right back in, but a great stun by Viger, basically predicting that. Unfortunately, nothing able to happen from that. No follow-up shock blast from Jace or anything of the sort.
All right, we see blue going ahead and take, or we see blue team going ahead and taking red team's blue. And are we gonna? Oh, we see the flip.
And there we go. We have an engagement right there as Bacon ends up on a rampage right there, picking up yet another kill. And it looks like that was a great Event Horizon once again by Viger. And it looks like they're going to try to catch out Ezreal. Unfortunately, he's going to flash over the wall, or arcane shift over the wall rather, and Maokai right now is just taking a lot of poke from the shock blast from Jace. And Jace right now 4-0. He's got a last whisper brutalizer as well as vampiric scepter, so he's doing quite a bit of damage on top of the amount of armor shred he has.
Yeah, we see Jace doing a third to half of the bar of health with each shockwave. It's absolutely absurd what he's doing, how hard he pokes these teams down. Alright, we do see a mid push here. They should be able to take this tower without a problem, even though Connectin's there.
And there goes the tower. One more hit will end up taking it down, but it looks like the Nautilus ult is going off in the bot lane. Dooley using his ultimate, unfortunately missing that. Could have either waited until the Nautilus ult hit so that he could have followed that up easily without worry of missing it, or he could have even just saved it for a later engagement, the Nautilus ult, just doing enough damage to secure the kill.
Yeah, we just see, right now we see blue team falling back, securing their buffs, securing their lanes, making sure that everything's pushed up. And that's another thing I really like about this play here, is not only do they have good ward coverage, but they're making sure that they're keeping their jungle clear, they're taking advantage of all that gold that's just sitting there, and they're making sure that their lanes are all pushed up. So when they do decide to push up, when they do decide to team fight, they don't have to worry about minions coming down and pushing down a tower when they're unable to get to it.
So it's a Syncopation. They are on the back foot right now. We have about a 7k gold difference right now in the game, and Saga Kiss is just pushing the top lane. Singed really good at split pushing, as he can just basically take waves very easily with his poison. It looks like Flurg is going to try to do something about it. He's going to end up tanking the tower just a little bit, but he's Singed. It doesn't really matter that much. He's got a lot of health as well as a lot of armor, so it's very tanky. But it looks like the blue team, they're going to look to pressure something at this point. Dooley is in the bot lane, going to try to kill Castro, and there goes the hail of arrows. He's going to be able to slow him, and Senor Castro was just barely dodging the stack, and unfortunately he's going to be taken down by a couple of auto attacks from Dooley.
And that was just some great damage done by Dooley. It's unfortunate he missed the auto attack, but it was really easy to keep it up. Going back to Singed pushing top there, I mean, that's one of the advantages of Singed, is that he forces people to be out of position. He forces people to come and stop him, but Renekton's taking a page out of his book and kind of going for that back tower there.
Looks like Epic Shots does catch out Bacon with a skill shot. However, the Event Horizon is going to be able to pop her flash, does not want to get stuck in that no matter what. Bacon does so much damage right now, sitting 4-0-1, almost 200 farm. And they're just going to keep pressure on the mid tower while Saga Kiss ends up in the bot lane, taking down Emily Van Camp. And there we go, just so much damage. And he's going to have to tank this tower as well. And there we go, there's the stun. And very quick pickup from Kiss to be able to pick up that kill. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, it looks like there's a lot of pressure going down onto this turret, as the red team, they're going to be trying to sit back, and there goes the Event Horizon. Great play right there. Blueberry's getting taken down very low. Great Nami ult being able to force Bacon out of the fight as well. And Epic Shots picking up a kill right there with the ultimate. Bacon using his shock blast to pick up a kill as well.
Yeah, I just want to take a second and go back and talk about that Event Horizon. It took up almost the entire lane there. I mean, it was almost impossible to dodge out of that unless you used a flash and used something in order to get out of it, which really set up for those kills. It was just absurd how much utility the support Viger is bringing to the table when backed up by somebody like Nautilus and backed up by Jace and Varus, who can bring damage and more crowd control. I mean, this is such a great pick. I mean, I wouldn't expect to see it on your average Joe. This is obviously something he's practiced before, but it's pretty damn amazing.
Yeah, you really have to be good at landing a lot of those event horizons in order to make that work. So we see the fact that Varus, he's got his Infinity Edge as well as the Blade of the Ruined King, so that's going to help him out quite a bit with crits as well as proccing some of his Blighted Quiver stacks, but it looks like Senor Castro forced a flash out of the event horizon, and Blueberry getting caught once again, unfortunately. She's got 4 deaths so far, and it looks like they're just going to try to poke down this mid lane once again.
I mean, they can keep the red team can keep trying to poke, but really they're just kind of trundling through, taking towers as they please. I mean, really, blue team's putting Mundo to shame with how much map control they have here.
And there we go. The Ezreal is finally ending up to pick his Tear of the Goddess, so that's going to help him stack a little bit of mana as well as give him, a little bit more to build into. He's going to ult Dooley, not doing quite as much damage as he would have hoped, but it looks like they are going to end up taking blue buff and possibly pushing the bot lane after this, so he's going to be able to clear this minion wave and start pushing down in the bot lane.
Yeah, I really feel they should have saved those abilities for time for another team fight, even though the cooldown's kind of low, but we do see Renekton getting caught out.
And there we go, Maokai is taken down extremely low, and there goes the last arrow, not quite killing him. It looks like Senor Castro is going to dodge an ultimate. Unfortunately, Blueberry's once again taking the brunt damage of Varus. She's getting caught out quite a bit whenever Senor Castro tries to dodge out of something.
I mean, that's something we can't be seeing from Red Team here. They really need to stay out of their jungle if they have any inclination that they're going to be there. They need to wait for them to get to like top lane somewhere where they can go, and then someone needs to sneak down and try to get a wards in here or there, or at least try to force some sort of gank or team fight.
In the top lane, we see that Renekton, he has built a Sunfire Cape, so that's going to help him a little bit against a lot of the members of the blue team, but I think he's going for a little bit too much of his core build and not really building any magic resist for Singed. Looks like Bacon is going to be able to take Ezreal out, as well as in the bottom lane we're having a dive onto Maokai, but Bacon caught out in the enemy team's base at this point. Unfortunately, no one from the blue team, or no one from the red team able to follow up with that and end up killing him. Dooley is going to dive this tower as well, dodging a skill shot from Loxton. It looks like he's going to land a lot of Bladed Quiver stacks, dodging right through the ultimate from Nami, and he's going to be able to pick up epic skill shots, or epic shots right there, and Dooley is going to be running out of there with 9 kills, while Bacon runs out with 7.
That was just a great play by Dooley there to pick up that kill, and something I really want to bring to attention is that Renekton was pinned up here at top tower, and that really gave Renekton's one of the people that they need in this team to make sure he's going in there, taking care of Dooley, getting these team fights and landing those stuns.
There goes Dooley, he's getting caught by a bubble, and he's just forced to flash out of there, but he's going to stay alive, and Blueberry's going to get caught by a flash Nautilus hook, and there goes the very, very quick pickup by Maestro. And it looks like they still have all the control in this game. Bottom inhibitor is taken down. It looks like Dooley is going to get caught out by an Ezreal ult. Unfortunately, he's going to be taken down right there. But TowerDiveTV Maestro getting caught out by a snare as well. But Florg caught out by the event horizon. It looks like Epic Shots is going to be taken down extremely low. Almost getting killed right there. One last tick of Ignite is going to end up taking her down. Shutdown bonus onto her. Unfortunately, she was able to pick up Jace in that fight, and it looks like Maestro is going to end up trying to kill Van Camp, and there we go. She's going to be taken down right there. Kiss forced to run away from the fight, the poison ticking down onto Florg, and it looks like Maestro, he's able to pick up a lot of damage onto Senor Castro. Viger actually picking up that kill, and it looks like Florg is the only one there who can stop the rest of TowerDiveTV. I think they're just going to be able to back up off of this fight as well.
That was some great play by Viger and Maestro there. I mean, just ability. We saw the advantage of all that crowd control and all that damage that even as support Viger was able to throw out. He was managed to clean up a couple of those kills there. That was just absolutely great play by them. And I just saw a bunch of pings going down the map. Maybe ward coverage.
Ooh,
I think that's what they're pinging for.
We could also see the red team or the blue team saying, "All right, we can go for Baron at this point. We're very far ahead. We have the bottom lane inhibitor down, so that lane is going to keep pushing. It's the farthest lane away from Baron, so they could force this, and if the red team wanted to decide to try to stop them, then the bot lane would be pushing on its own into the bottom lane of the red team."
Yeah, that's something Singe could be doing, is pushing out of the lane, but really all the lanes are pretty pushed. I mean, Singe isn't that great at taking out Baron. You kind of want to use him as a distraction while the rest of your team cleans him up.
There we go. They're going to be able to take this Baron uncontested. There's really not much that the red team can do about this. They know that they're very far behind in terms of their builds and items, as well as having the bottom inhibitor down. It looks like Viger's just going to try to annoy Renekton as much as he can while they try to push down the mid lane.
Yeah,
And there we go. Kiss is going in for the engagement. Everyone's flashing away from him, however. So it looks like they're going to be able to Shirelius into the fight, and Viger is going to land a great Event Horizon, catching out both Castro and Blueberry. They're going to be taken down extremely quickly. Van Camp is going to be taken down next. He's the focus and the double kill from Varus, and it looks like they're just going to be able to take the inhibitor as well as a tower off of this.
yeah, that was a great Shirelius there by Viger, getting him in position to do that. And even though the Nami ult did go off and it was well placed, they just couldn't really take advantage of that because of that Event Horizon and all the area it covered.
And they're just probably going to be able to end it at this point. Both Renekton and Ezreal are down for quite a long time, and Julie is just poking under the tower, trying to kill epic shots. She's taking a lot of damage. First to Zhonya's inside the tower range, and there goes the stun from Viger, keeping them in the base, but there we go. There is a GG. Blue team wins yet another game.
26-10 with 55k gold in favor of the blue team. I mean, we saw really the strength of playing champions who know how to play. Nobody would thought to ban Viger in order to stop a support Viger, but we saw how well he did because it's one of those champions that he practiced, he knows the ins and out of, and it's his champion. And that's a strength he really saw in that match.
And that was a great game played by the TowerDiveTV team, beating out Syncopation a little bit early in the tournament. But we'll have to see how the rest of the tournament goes as we go into this next game. In the meantime, go ahead and listen to some music. We'll be right back.